The crack of splitting wood echoed across the shooting range like a gunshot itself. Instructor Sergeant Marcus Webb stood over the broken rifle, a satisfied smirk on his face, while 62-year-old James Sullivan watched pieces of his grandfather's hunting rifle scatter across the ground. The recruits fell silent, their young faces frozen between shock and secondhand embarrassment. Before we continue with this incredible moment, I need to know something. Where are you watching this from right now? Drop your country name in the comments below and let me know you're here with us. And if you can already feel where this story is heading, smash that like button because what happens next is absolutely legendary. James had served 3 tours in Vietnam, came home to a quiet life as a factory worker, and buried his wife of 40 years just 6 months ago. His grandson Tyler was among these fresh-faced recruits, and James had come to the range as a guest, invited to share stories about military service. He'd brought his grandfather's rifle, a weathered piece that had seen 2 wars and countless hunting seasons. It wasn't fancy, but it was family. Webb was one of those instructors who confused cruelty with discipline. At 35, he'd done 1 tour overseas in a support role, but wore his authority like armor. When James had quietly mentioned that modern rifles had lost some of the soul of the old weapons, Webb's ego couldn't handle an old man's nostalgia. This piece of junk? Webb had grabbed the rifle from James's hands. This is why wars were longer back then. Unreliable garbage. Before anyone could react, he'd smashed it against the concrete barrier, snapping the wooden stock clean in half. Tyler started forward, fists clenched, but James caught his eye and gave the smallest shake of his head. The old man's face remained calm, almost serene, but his eyes held something that made even Webb hesitate for a moment. "Seems I'll need to borrow a rifle if I'm going to demonstrate anything," James said quietly, his voice carrying across the stunned silence. Webb's smirk returned. "Tell you what, old-timer. You can use mine. Let's see what the glory days taught you." He unslung his pristine M4, all modern accessories and tactical additions. 300 yards, 10 shots, standard targets. Unless that's too much for someone your age. The trap was obvious. Webb was the range's best marksman, had the trophies to prove it. He was setting James up for public humiliation, revenge for the perceived slight to his expertise. Now let me ask you something. Have you ever witnessed someone underestimate another person completely? Drop a comment telling me about a time you or someone you know proved the doubters wrong. And if you haven't subscribed yet, do it now because stories like this are exactly why this channel exists. James approached the firing line with the borrowed rifle. His hands, weathered and scarred, moved over the weapon with the kind of knowledge that comes from muscle memory older than most of the recruits. He didn't rush, didn't show off. He simply settled into a stance that Webb's trained eye recognized immediately as something beyond textbook. It was the stance of someone who'd fired weapons when his life depended on it. The first shot rang out. Then the second. James fired with a rhythm that seemed almost meditative, each shot flowing into the next like breathing. No hesitation. No adjustment. Just pure distilled expertise. When the targets came back, Webb's face drained of color. 10 shots. 10 perfect center mass hits at 300 yards, grouped so tightly you could cover them with your fist. Several recruits gasped. Tyler's eyes glistened with proud tears. James handed the rifle back to Webb carefully, respectfully. "Your weapon's well maintained, Sergeant. Does you credit?" He glanced at the broken pieces of his grandfather's rifle. "That old gun taught my grandfather to feed his family during the Depression. Taught my father to respect the weight of taking a life in World War II. Taught me that survival isn't about having the best equipment. It's about honoring what you have and knowing yourself." He turned to address the recruits, his voice carrying the weight of hard-earned wisdom. "You'll get the best training, the best weapons, the best support, but none of that matters if you don't have respect. Respect for your equipment, your enemy, your brothers and sisters in arms, and most importantly, respect for those who walked this path before you." Webb stood frozen, the rifle hanging limply in his hands. His arrogance shattered more thoroughly than any wooden stock. James picked up the pieces of his broken rifle, holding them like you'd hold something sacred. "These pieces will teach my grandson one more lesson. That sometimes being broken doesn't mean being defeated. It just means you've got a story to tell. This story is a reminder that experience, humility, and respect will always outweigh ego and arrogance. If this touched something in you, if it reminded you that true strength comes from character, not credentials, then I need you to do something for me right now. Hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell. Share this video with someone who needs to remember that age is just a number, and wisdom never goes out of style. Comment below and tell me what lesson you took from James's story. Your words might inspire someone else today. Until next time, remember that respect earned is worth more than respect demanded.